Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and today's video I want to talk about simplicity or the power of simplicity. I think it's important to try and keep things as simple as possible and not overcomplicate different aspects of our life. Now, I'll give you a perfect example. I was at a conference many years ago, and they were talking about birds flying. And I remember the speaker saying to everyone that, have you ever thought about when you see birds flying, why, when you look up in the sky, one line will always be longer than the other? Now, we all know the science behind why birds fly in a V formation. Then I won't get into that. But the person on stage asked this question to the crowd. Why is one line of birds in that V formation longer than the other? And everyone's looking around, everyone's thinking about it, and they're trying to come up with reasons, and they're in groups, and the groups are talking with each other. And then he said, okay, I'll just stop everybody. The reason when you look at a V formation of birds and one line is longer than the other is because in the longer line, there's more birds. And everyone just looked at each other, had a bit of a chuckle, as you might be thinking when you hear me say that now, and go, oh, well, that's pretty obvious then, isn't it? One line is longer because there's more birds in it. And that is what I mean by keeping things simple. Sometimes when we're presented with a problem, especially with the patient, the most logical answer is probably the correct answer. But sometimes, especially for new and recent graduates, when they're presented with a problem and a patient walks in, the most logical answer will probably pop into their head. But because of lack of experience, they're not quite sure whether that's what they should be doing. And they're thinking, it can't be that simple. I think it's really important for everybody in our team to just remember sometimes the simplest answer is the correct answer. You don't need to overcomplicate things. But it's like every aspect of your business. If you're looking at certain systems in your business, do you need to have 15 steps to do something, or can it be broken down into 6 steps? I know when I teach people how to pick locks at my marketing events, there's 3 simple steps you need to follow to do that. When I teach people how to juggle, there's a couple of simple steps on how to do that. So a lot of the times, majority of things that we do, we can simplify it to a few steps. And I remember being at an event once, and there was a guy, Sean D'Souza, talking, and he was talking about cooking Indian food. And he gave this particular recipe. He outlined this recipe for this particular Indian dish, which was a very popular dish. And he said, and there were so many ingredients. He said, however, you take the 3 main ingredients, put them in 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. He says that I'll guarantee majority of people that eat it will not be able to tell the difference. Now, someone who really knows the Indian food could, but the average person probably couldn't. And he was talking about simplification. So take a look at the processes in your business. Can they be simplified? When you're training your team members, can the process be simplified? But more importantly, if you have a new or recent graduate with you, is remind them that when a patient walks into the clinic, more than likely they have the knowledge to solve 9 out of 10 problems. They just need to realize they have that knowledge there. You couldn't have got out of university without having a decent understanding of biomechanics and other aspects of podiatry. Now it just comes down to putting it into practice. And the more you do it, the more confident you're going to get and the better you're going to get. And that's the thing I find with podiatry is the longer you're in the profession, and as long as you're constantly wanting to improve, you will become a better podiatrist. I know I was better at 10 years than I was after 5 years. I was better at 15 years than I was at 10. I was better at 25 years than I was at 20 years. You just get better the more patients that you're seeing. However, I always took a very simple approach. I assumed when a patient came in, sat in front of me, and they were discussing a problem, I would think, what was the most logical reason why they've got this problem? Just like why is one line of birds longer than the other when they're in the V formation? I would look at it that way. I would plan my treatment that way. And if I wasn't getting the results that I needed, then I would start digging deeper, investigating more. So I think if you're a new or recent graduate, a patient is presented to you, don't panic. What is the most logical thing? Go down that path. But then when you get the chance to talk to your mentor, talk to your employer, and ask them, this is what I was presented with, this is what I've done, this is the treatment I've provided. They're coming back in at this time. Would you suggest I do anything else, or am I on the right track? And you'll find, like I said, 9 out of 10 times, you're probably going to be on the right track. And I've heard a lot of podiatrists have left the profession because they got bored. And I think you get bored if you're not constantly challenging yourself. So just keep that in mind, is keep things simple, but dig deeper when you need to dig deeper. And if in doubt, turn to somebody else that you know. Turn to a mentor, the person that employed you. If you've got podiatry friends, reach out to them. So that's the point of this video today, is really keep things simple, keep things logical. And I think you'll find majority of problems, not just in podiatry, but in life, can be fixed by having that mindset. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up and feel free to share it around wherever you want. I'd love your feedback. There will be a comment section underneath this video on YouTube that you can leave a comment. If you don't agree with me, you can leave a comment as well. And if you ever want to reach out to me, my email address is tf@tysonfranklin.com, or you can go to my website, tysonfranklin.com, and on there I have all the different things about myself, different coaching services that I offer. So please go and check that out. Okay, I'll have another video for you in the not too distant future. Talk to you again soon. Bye.